When you're behind the wheel of any Volga, you feel like having a smoke. Smoking is bad out of fashion, but in a Volga you really want to... I'm big and thank God for that, but it's really uncomfortable to lie down here. Well, first of all, the stretchers themselves are uncomfortable, and it's pretty cramped in here. And also, it seems like my claustrophobia is going to start developing. The ceiling is practically pressing down on my face. When there's no choice, it doesn't matter. If you abstract from it, there's some everyday charm. Although if you abstract from it, well, if I weren't buckled up, then, in principle, there would be some kind of everyday charm in this. Pity the patients. The worn saddle makes a creaking sound, and the wind slightly stirs up an old wound. The wound. How tragically and unfortunately our domestic brands have died, which once made us proud, and then brought a bit of shame indeed. Where did this shameful dislike for our own come from, and for everyone else? Let's not dwell on that, but a period of time is well known to you. The 90s and the 2000s. When everything was being sold to everyone and they were robbing what had been stolen. We wanted to talk about new models, but there was no money for their production. Factories had to survive or perish. The mid-2000s. The Volga is a morally outdated car and has been for a long time. All updates are bigger. Speculation about the best car of the USSR. 3102 did not live up to expectations. We had to move on. Anyway you can, gave birth, sheep bull. And then with the help of magic and a love potion, the 3110 appeared. Or the GAZ-3110, it's a two-logical continuation of the GAZ-24. The evolution of the Volga followed a well-trodden path in our country. Not releasing a modern car, not being able to put them on the assembly line, let's say the GAZ-3105, but systematically reworking the components, gradually improving the car, giving it different designations, but not keeping up with modernity at all. I'm telling you, we updated, we tried, we made do as best as we could. Here too! But if you put a new hood, new fenders, a new grille, and new headlights on an old shed, the car will still remain an old shed. The design's consistency is such that even the windshield frame and the firewall have only slight changes from the GAZ-24, notably. We're just walking around the front part of the car, but you see, we don't just have a Volga, we have a station wagon. The station wagons at the Gorky automobile plant started being produced in 1972, to the index GAZ-2402. The station wagon and sedan were created simultaneously. That was the right decision. They are identical in the front part up to front pillar. But the rear end here is original.
From the front pillar, the considerably large body, which measures 47-35 millimeters in length, has received all its body panels. And these are the rear doors, which have rectangular window frames to increase the openings and simplify loading, as you can clearly observe. The trunk lid, and indeed, of course, its own sizable and spacious roof, it alone is almost 3 meters long. Why am I telling you specifically about the 2402 to you? Here's the thing. All as station wagons. The rear part is the same as in 1972. The front has rounded shapes, intriguing. If the front is more or less a new car, then the back is also an artistic collapse. The front has rounded shapes, which were still interesting at that time, beckoning to bright future. At the back, it's square, strict, serious, but it just doesn't fit. Why reinvent the wheel? A shed is a shed, even in Africa. But the most unpleasant and frustrating part is that the cost-cutting in production played a cruel joke on the car. I'm not talking about the lack of chrome. The quality of the paint job has dropped so much that the car rotted through in just a few years. I'm not talking about the lack of chrome. The quality of the paintwork had deteriorated so much that the car was completely rotted out within a few years. And what you see in front of you is actually a real time capsule. This is a new car. New, the new Volga. The new Volga. Such cars were often used as taxis and in medical institutions. As in our case, the medical cars had a distinctive light with a cross on the roof and windows elegantly dusted with white paint so that curious onlookers wouldn't peek inside and see what was going on. Plastic bumpers won't hide anything. Stampings for the reflectors, MDs, and steel handle. Let's open it. And below, there's a compartment where the spare tire and tools are safely, securely, and conveniently hidden away for storage. Nothing has changed. The interior of the medical Volga is designed for 2 doctors and 1 lying patient. Finishing of the compartment in the best traditions with nothing in paint. The only medical equipment here is a suitcase with medicines and the doctor's faith in the best. It's scary and uncomfortable to move to the second seat. And the seats are also extremely uncomfortable. My backside barely fits in here. The seat folds down just in case. But I don't know who should be seated in the back here just in case. The armrest from the civilian station wagon has survived. But this, my friends, is definitely total chaos. All right. There's also another storage space here. Left door. Let's open it. Under the floor of the stretcher podium, there's an additional liquid heater. Indeed, that's the right decision.
All right, the stretchers. The little handles for coming out. Well, it's not very comfortable, of course. Oops.
You have to be a strong person. No, short and stocky, just like this. The suspension has been the same for a million years. Rear leaf springs, and in the front, there are spring arms. But there are no ball joints. There's also a kingpin here. So to speak, it's a money-saving measure, and this is not a powerful step forward. It's also worth mentioning the engine. Forodua, born in 1968, in the year, it was a bit dressed up, embellished, and lived a long and happy life on the assembly line. All the way until 2006. 2445 cubic centimeters. The power is 76 horsepower. This is a detuned engine designed to run on A80 gasoline, well, on 76 gasoline. But look at how everything shines here. That's why I enjoy filming cars here. Here, I mean in Verkhnaya Pishma, which is 15 minutes away from Yekaterinburg. Haven't I told you this yet? You know, a few more numbers. The maximum horses come out at 4,500 RPM. The maximum torque is 182 Newton meters at 1,800, 2,200 RPM. There was nothing revolutionary about the engine. It was simple, reliable, and understandable to everyone. And the engine's ailments were treated with a curse word, and the parts market.
And what is that? Am I sad right away? Is that how it turned out? Because it's uncomfortable for me to sit here. There's a wall behind.
And in front of my eyes, a market novelty from the late 90s. The dashboard of the GAZ-3110 in all its bloated glory. And again, the idea is really great, but the execution is just disappointing. The plastics are bad. Everything is a bit off and doesn't work. This was the case back then, not just with the Volga, but everywhere. It's beautiful overall, but there are no words. Here, under the Volga, are the fuses. So what's up with the glove compartment, huh? Europe. Mechanism. It's sluggish. The gear shift knob in the Volga always brings a sense of gloom. But not as big as these seats. A degree something screwed to the wall. With the headrest screwed on. The steering wheel. It can only be adjusted in my fantasies, but it's still shifted to the left and a bit bent. So, there's no room for your hand. But you can chat with the medical staff or talk about your health concerns. Here, the armrest slides back. A useful thing. What do you think about the button-shaped plugs? This is a preparation for future power windows. 6 pieces. Is it okay? Imagine the sound of the Volga in your head, can you imagine it? Well, nothing has changed since the late 60s. A resonant, rattling howl and grumbling through clouds of smoke blowing out of the exhaust. I hope describe the sound of the revived Volga accurately, even if it's a bit figurative. You won't feel the smell, but it's always there. The smell of exhaust. The posts are supportive, sweet, the tilts are expected, but the medical Volga is still a Volga. For someone who's used to sleeping on nails and walking on glass, sitting here, it's just uncomfortable. I'm gripping the steering wheel with my knees, pressing my head against the ceiling. And how can you even work here? The sanitary Volgas operated in city hospitals, district hospitals, and first aid stations. They weren't full-fledged ambulances. The car is for picking up a pediatrician, running to get medical supplies and bandages from the warehouse. Very often, the medics even served as personal transport. The chief doctor. That's not common. But the Volga's heater heats up the small compartment. Well, I already want to take my clothes off. You can drive naked. It's a 5-speed manual transmission. But in the city, there are more than 4 gears. And outside the city, these Volgas rarely went out. But according to the numbers, the barge could go fast. 0 to 111 seconds. And what's the top speed? Yeah, it doesn't matter what the top speed is. In 2005, the GAZ-3110 was discontinued. They were producing the GAZ-310231 and its siblings in the shed until 2008. The cars were often bought by government agencies on assignment. But despite everything, the shed was loved on the secondary market. Dhaka owners and small business owners. You won't believe it, but even today, these cars are still actively used in the regions. And this applies to all models of the Volga. Here's a thought. If a domestic brand is buried, let it rest. If resurrected, make it something to be proud of, not just a label. If you've decided to bring it back, then make it something to be proud of, not just anything. These are with re-stickered badges. And the game goes on